Mozambique, and in this video, which I'm going to try and make as quickly as possible, I am going to talk to you about the button layouts. Basically, I've basically messed about with the buttons, and I've got a couple of layouts that hopefully might help some of you out there. If not, cool, but hopefully you can take something out of this video, and let me know in the comments if you do. But yeah, let's get started with Genji. With Genji, as you can see from the bottom right hand side, R2, L2 is now originally this, but now it's my Swift Strike, and it's basically, I find the shooting buttons, we'll call them shooting buttons, are better on the right hand side, just because that's where you're shooting from naturally anyway, so you want to kind of alternate between them fast enough. And your cooldowns, you kind of want to have your emergency cooldown on something that you can get to fast, and the other one close to that. And that's why I've got Swift Strike on L2, because I play R2 L2. So my Swift Strike's there just to get me out, in and out, or whatever I want to do as fast as I can. And Shuriken on R1, not sorry, the spread Shuriken, I can't say it properly, sorry. But that's on R1, and your normal is R2, and deflect is L1. So yeah, R1 for the spread, R2 as normal, L2 for your Swift Strike, and L1 for deflect. McCree is pretty much the exact same. R1 stays the same, L2 is now your roll instead of fan the hammer, L1 is flash, and R1 is your fan the hammer, and I just find shoot, as I said in the last one, shooting on the right, abilities on the left. Pharah and Reaper I covered in the first video I did. If you want to check that out, you'll be able to find that there. If it's not helpful, can you let me know, guys, so that I can then reiterate it in future videos. But I'll go with Soldier, and with Soldier, L3 to sprint instead of L1, and I find that's Call of Duty, basically. That's the reason why, simple. R1 I've got on for my lethal grenade thing, and that's just the same because I want it next to my R2 because I want to be able to change between them fast enough, and L2 I want to have on something that I can quickly put down with ease, and that's L2. You can kind of keep that on L1 if you want, that's not really a pure big deal, and you can kind of keep the rockets on L2, sorry. It's just your personal preference. I just find it's much easier to aim them kind of thing. That was a shame, but on R1. With Bastien, right, Bastien doesn't have a secondary fire, so his L2 doesn't get used at all. So this is where I have L2 as my turret mode thing, and L1 as my heal. You can change that to R1 since you can't shoot anyway when you're healing, so you can change that. You can change the healing to R1 if you choose to, but L2 I find is just good because you can kind of, like, for a thing we say, you can jump in, even though you can do it with the other button, but you can kind of, it's just ease of access kind of thing. L2, you can jump in, change in. With Hanzo, exactly the same. I find this is just good for helping people, as much as I hate to say it, spam, but with Hanzo, this would really help, as you can kind of change your sonar and your scatter whenever you want, and you can continue shooting essentially. Like, you don't need to take your finger off of that, you can just keep on tapping and change L2, and then when L1 comes up you can change to that, and it can just continue to spamzo basically. Yeah. Mei, the same as McCree and Genji, like they are L2, her L2 or long range shot call it is out on R1, and our freeze ability is still the same, and L2 emergency, so that's on the invul is on L2 because it's an emergency, I mean to say, and L1 is your wall. So yeah, so long range R1, freeze is the short range one, still the same, invul on L2, and your wall on L1. Next, Reinhardt. Now for Reinhardt, first things first, I would say highly advise people go in, whoever plays Reinhardt, you probably already got it done if you're a Reinhardt mate, toggle the barrier on, as this really helps, like in terms of like keeping your fingers free to do other things. And as you can notice, like my R2 is not my attack, it's my fire strike, and that's because I've got L3 is my melee, and that's because I can keep L3 pushed down, and when I need to spam my hammer, call it, like I can look round and aim at people and I know exactly where they are because I'm not all over the joint kind of thing, because I'm not kind of controlling both analogs to try and do everything kind of thing. But yeah, toggle L2, and it means that I don't need to touch L2 unless I'm turning it off. And then I've got the fire strike on R2, which I just have because I've changed my button layout, so R2 is free and easily accessible. And L1 is your dash, and that's because once you put your shield on, if you ever want to dash, you can dash and press L1. So yeah, melee is your, so your attack is L3, L2 for your shield, R2 for the fire strike, and L1 for your dash. And that's Reinhardt. Roadhog, similar to main whatnot, your long range shot is now R1, your short range shot stays R2, and your hook is now L2, and that is just, I find it much easier to aim with the hook on L2 kind of thing, because like I find that on the controller, if you're aiming at L1, if you're using like the L1 and R1 a lot, when you're shooting with R2 and L2, it kind of skews your aim off a bit when you're shooting and with one finger above the other, if you know what I mean, like R2 and L1. Like it kind of skews it a wee bit and whatnot, so I prefer having like the hook and whatnot on L2. Winston, now Winston doesn't have a secondary like some of these characters do, so I've got L2 as the jump, and that's so I can basically, I'll probably not be able to show you this, but you can basically kind of go L2, L1 shoot, and you can kind of do that fast, and it means you've got the bubble that you've jumped, you've got the bubble down, and you can shoot, and it just like means there's less time of you not doing damage basically like that. So you can literally like kind of jump in, put your shield down and do damage like all at the same time essentially. You know what I mean, like shield's down, fair enough I wasn't reloaded, but the shield's down and I started shooting at them. Zarya, similar to the rest of the secondary fire, your bombs are now R1. I say your bombs, but you know what I mean. But the bombs are now R1 and your R2 stays the same, with L2 being ally barrier and L1 being your own barrier, and that's, in my opinion, it's more important to keep your allies protected than yourself, so L2 reflexively can put that on, you know what I mean, and it's fast and I can do my own then straight away. And lastly, Zenyatta. Zenyatta's the exact same again, so R2 stays the same, R1 I've now put as that shot, L1 is now your discord, and because allies are more important than yourself, L2 is your healing harmony orb, L1 is discord, and that's just, I find it's pretty good because with Zenyatta you can kind of get that emergency like kind of jolt shot off, like say that there's somebody one shot, or you know what I mean, like like say there's a Reaper one shot try to run away kind of thing, you're not going to really catch up, well you can, but you know what I mean, like some characters you can't catch up with, and that can kind of help you just go bang, and it's pretty accurate somehow. Like you can get, like you can hit a Pharah in the air, I've hit a couple of Pharahs in the air with this, but you can just sit there and do that and then bang, 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 you know what I mean, like alternate between them pretty easy. But yeah, that's all the characters I've really got out so far, like, and these are subject to change depending on how I feel at the time and what I discover. But another tip I would give everybody is, like, no matter what main you are, like on console, like just come in here but like for 5-10 minutes and just like get used to your character, like aim at these moving bots and just try and kill them efficiently. Get your aim for heads, accuracy. You can also do what Stylosa says, shows, the 6 Ana headshot only on a map, but I just can't be bothered like setting it all up all the time. and also Violent T Games. I'm giving shout outs to all these people because they've actually got useful stuff on, but Violent T Games also just suggests putting your sensitivity as high as you can, and this is because of the aim assist. Like, and if you notice there, like mine isn't high enough, but you can still notice it there, how it kind of slows down. Like, that is your aim assist, and that kind of helps you judge when to stop. So say that your thing, when you've noticed that you've like kind of noticed, oh shit, it's slowed down, and you've went past them, you can kind of then bring it in and it's going to slow you down again, and you can kind of like, you're not going to exactly go, oh, too far, and then kind of get closer and closer, but it'll help you get used to when to stop. So having your sensitivity as high as you can, I would advise doing what Violent T Games says, and go to 100 and decrease it from there. Like, I know that I'm on 30-30, but this is not actually the sensitivity I use on most of my characters. I'm actually still trying to find the sweet spot for all of them, rather than having individual sensitivities. But yeah, either doing the headshot only Ana in custom games, or damn it, kicks me out again, or doing like in the training gallery. It really helps. Even if you're a Lucio main, like, it'll get you used to projectile distance, it'll get you used to like your abilities. Like, you can sit there and pretend that these characters are doing, these robots are attacking you, you know what I mean, in a sense, and roll, hit, fan the hammer, roll, fan the hammer, whatever, you know what I mean. Like, but I hope this really helped. I hope this helped at least some of you out there. Let me know what you picked up from this, as it will really help me out, like in terms of what I should say and what I shouldn't say, or what I should do and shouldn't do. And let me know how you get on with what you change, if you change anything, and leave a like, subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one, or maybe in some random gameplay. Peace.